Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Reviewing Comics with me, your host, Alexander Turbin. Today we're going to be going over part 2 of Bizarre Adventures from Marvel Comics Group, called The Barbarian. We did this a few weeks ago. We had the first part of this magazine, and because it's like a 4 or 5 part story, and we're going to delve into the second part, and it's always fantastic read. Sword and Sorcery, and John Bolton, how can you go wrong? But before that, I'd like to have a few announcements. First is make sure you go and vote on the artist poll this week. This week is Dale Keown versus Greg Capullo. Both fantastic artists. Both have their own unique style. Greg Capullo is a little bit more tied to a little bit more regular style, I think. I don't know if you'd say regular, but more toned down. Whereas Sam Keith, he's really out there. His style is really out there and a little bit different. So let everybody know who you enjoy more as an artist. And I really love these polls, and I really think they're a great conversation starter. And let me know also, not just in the polls, but in the comments, who you like more, why, and all that stuff. I really love hearing that. Also, this is my own comic book. It's called Random Access. It's a full-size, full-color book that I put out every month, and it's 12 pages with me doing 10 pages, and then the last 2 pages are usually Paul Courtjohn and Christopher Knox, but we also have different artists doing different things. I've had multiple artists doing backups and stuff. It's really fun. You can get these at patreon.com/Alexander Turbin, and it's just $3 a month. Or you can go to my website, alexanderturbin.com, and pick them up there. And they're very cheap. Again, they're only $1.25 for 12 pages of art and writing and story. And I've gone back and forth with the color, but I'm back in with the color nonstop. So it's all color from here on in Random Access. And you can check those out, like I said, at alexanderturbin.com. Or you can message me at alexturbin0441 at Yahoo or alexturbin0441 at Instagram. So let's get into Bizarre Adventures. I like the name. I kind of wish it was just Kull, the Barbarian, instead of Bizarre Adventures. But I mean, I guess this is number 26. So I don't know what else was in the... Actually, I do know there's an X-Men story that I'm definitely going to cover. That's a black and white magazine thing that I'm definitely going to go over. But let's recap the story so far. So we have Kull, who is a very much a Conan character. Kull, I believe, came first, and he's made by Robert E. Howard back in the 30s. And as you know, I love Robert E. Howard and H.P. Lovecraft and all that stuff. And it's also written by Doug Monich. I'm not entirely sure how you say that. And artist is John Bolton. And John Bolton, one of my favorites. He is a fantastic artist. He's got this neo-realism thing going on, and I love his ink washes and his line work and his inking and his penciling and his everything. But basically, he's a fantastic artist, and he's going to be on there on our artist poll eventually. I mean, there's so many fantastic artists. It's really hard to decide who we should have on and who we shouldn't have on and who we should face off. If you guys have any kind of recommendations for who you would like to see facing off against each other, please let me know, because I would love to have recommendations for other artists that you would like to see, both for us going over, me and Joe, and also just to have a poll of who you like most. Maybe you have a favorite artist that you think would just crush whoever, McFarlane. Is your favorite artist McFarlane, and you think he would just crush anybody else? That's completely possible, but it's always very interesting to see what happens in the polls, because a lot of times I think one artist is really going to do well and he ends up losing badly or whatever. So anyway, let's get into a quick recap of part 1. Kull is the king now. This is an older type of Conan character. He's already the king, which is the same. It's very odd that Robert E. Howard chose to go the same pathway with both Kull and with Conan. Kull is a little different because he's a little bit more introspective, and he thinks about deeper thoughts and who is a man, what am I here to do, and all of this other introspective stuff. Where Conan is just kind of like I'm going to use my brute strength to destroy anything that goes into my path, and I'm just going to crush lay out my enemies and crush the women and all that stuff. I can never remember that quote word for word, but you know what I'm talking about. And so anyway, Kull is king. He's head of Aquilonia, and which this is years before Conan and the Hyborian Age. This is like basically right after the dinosaurs have died and the Ice Age has come upon them and started to recede. This is basically the world of Kull the Barbarian. So he's king of Aquilonia, but he's a little bit tired. He's a little bit wary. He's an older guy, and he's feeling like he wishes that he was still young and could go out and fight and do all this stuff instead of doing all of the mundane tasks of ruling and being king and stuff. So he's really having some troubles with his getting older and stuff. He retells the tale of how he gained the throne of Aquilonia. He killed its evil king before him, and then was decreed the new king. And he met his friend, the Spear Slayer. He was one of the Picts. I think he was a Pict, and he's a Spear Slayer. And so he's just kind of lamenting on all of this and feeling sad and woeful and all that stuff, kind of like Kirk does in Wrath of Khan, feeling very old. In this part, he goes to his window, his balcony. He sees this beautiful girl dancing in the moonlight, and they have this little exchange. And Kull is going to, have his way with this girl. He's like, tells her to come up, and he's going to have his way with her. He's the king. He can do whatever he wants, and she just does it, willy-nilly. She doesn't care. And then elsewhere, there's like a crypt that is opened, and a creature comes out, and he kills some of the dwellers there. And Kull he sends the girl away. He's feeling too old to even have sex, and he smashes a mirror. There's a lot of themes in this book. One of them is mirrors and reflections and self doubt and self aggravitizing. Is that a word? Aggravitizing. Anyway, his ambassadors, not his ambassadors, the people that help him out, his advisors. His advisors are trying to tell him certain things, and Kull just isn't listening to it. He just wants to be who he is. And finally, they tell him about the killings of the couple that were killed by this creature, and he goes to the crypts. He finds that it's the old dead king that he killed to take his the throne. He eventually kills the king, and that is how the part one of the story ends. He pushes a pylon, a pillar on top of the old king, because he can't kill it with a sword or whatever, because it's an undead entity. So he just crushes it with this pylon, and he's like, I'm going to have to figure out what is going on. So they go into the crypt, and this is part two, so we're delving into part two. He goes into the crypt. He hasn't treated his advisors very well. They were trying to tell him certain things about the couple and the crypt and all of this stuff, and he just wasn't listening to him. And so I think he's gone out of this fog, this self-doubt kind of thing, where he doesn't want to have anything to do with anybody else. And he's gone into this little battle here, I think, reinvigorated him. It made him into the Conan, the Conan style slayer, the barbarian. It reawakened a part in him that he was really missing. And beware any enemies of Kull when he is awakened. So they're in the crypt. His advisors and especially this advisor, I don't think he's a sorcerer, but he knows about sorcery and stuff. And so they're going through all of the different chambers and opening all of the different coffins and stuff to see if there's more creatures that could come out and be a danger and stuff like that. And then one of the advisors, the main advisor, he finds these magical sigils, and he talks about how they're etched in stone with using some sort of acid or some sort of alchemical base or something like that. And they're trying to figure out who could possibly do something like that. And then the scene changes to obviously the character who actually did all of this stuff, but we don't really know that yet. And he's a secrement, because they're talking about sorcerers, and he is the only sorcerer that is in the city practicing sorcery. He's somebody says his name, and he's like, "What?" And it ends up being the girl in the previous part of the story that was dancing in the moonlight in front of his chambers, Kull's chambers, and she thought that he was going to be hers, that she was going to kind of conquer his will, and but he couldn't, she couldn't, because Kull had too strong old man vibes, I guess, and couldn't get it up. Maybe, I don't know, or he had some sort of internal conflict within himself so that he couldn't do it. I think that's more likely. I don't think he's impotent. I think he's just something in him let him know that something was amiss and that he wasn't going to be able to consummate this kind of thing with the girl, because he knew that she was playing him somehow. This is where they talk about who could have done this thing, and this is where the advisor says there's only one person who's practicing sorcery, but he doesn't think it's him, because he doesn't think it's Secament. Doesn't think, because he's always been law abiding. He's never done anything. He's never gotten into any kind of sorcerer's trouble or anything like that. So doesn't think it's him, but Kull's like, I'm going to go check it out anyway. And if there's something amiss, I'm going to find out. He ends up going to his chamber or his house or whatever. I don't think that's what it is. I don't think that's the this is where he lives. That's a pretty nice house for a sorcerer. That's out in the boonies, out in the rocks or whatever. And I'm definitely going to go back and look at some of the art, because this art is so beautiful, and it just gets better and better. Each page gets better and better. I think Bolton was a young artist, and even though he's fantastic, and from the very get-go, he's fantastic, but I think he settles in to the amount of washes and the amount of line work that he's going to use, and it kind of blends together in a better way, even as the story goes along, because there's 30, 40, 50 pages in this. It's 60 pages. So he's grown as an artist, even though 60 pages at that young age, which I don't know how old he was at this time, but this came out in 81, and so he probably did it 75, 76, because you don't just whip something like this out in a day or so. I'm assuming that it took him at least 4 months, 3, 4, 5 months to do this, 60 pages of this intricate work of not just the penciling, but also the inking and the washes and all of that stuff. So this is a 3 or 4 month endeavor that he's pouring his whole heart and soul into, and it's just getting better and better with each page. He ends up going to Sekhmet's apartment or his castle, whatever he does, and he starts right from the very beginning. He talks about mirrors and how they are in somebody's life, which is harkens back to what Kull was doing in the very beginning, where he was lamenting over his own life and his own feelings and stuff like that, when he looks into the mirror and he doesn't see the person that he used to be, which, anybody of a certain age, they get to a certain age and they look into the mirror and they're like, this is not me. I am the young kid, doing whatever they wanted to do, and I'm not this old wrinkly old bag. So you get to a certain age and you start looking into the mirror and you start actually seeing who you are, and it kind of conflicts with who you really are. And so it's a lot of stuff going on. It's not just sword sorcery, hack and slash, killing a giant snake, and rescuing the damsel in distress. There's a lot going on. It's not just just basic stuff, which is really interesting because it makes it so much more vibrant and alive than to have a little bit of um, same old, same old. So he has all these magical mirrors, and he's talking to Kull about all this stuff. And Kull, he's still conflicted. He doesn't want to know anything about what this wizard is talking about. He still doesn't really want to embrace his old age or embrace his duality in any kind of way. He just wants to, be the king. He wants to figure out this riddle, and he wants to know what's going on. They have dinner, and the girl shows herself to Kull and to the sorcerer, which this is the sorcerer's daughter, and and as before, she wanted to take Kull's spirit and she wanted to make him hers, and it didn't happen. So the sorcerer is like, it'll happen this time. So I think the have them copulating, having sex, really is supposed to make her will over his, and for him to become her slave. So they have dinner, but there's something in the cup. The sorcerer puts something in the cup, so Kull becomes way more pliant and is basically going to do whatever. So he ends up going to bed. He's tired or whatever, and she shows up, and look at this fantastic scene. I don't know if John had some sort of reference, had models. Did he have models in any of these? Because man, it would be so insane for him not to have models if this was all in his mind. I would love to know if anybody knows if what reference John Bolton uses for models or whatever. I would love to hear it. If anybody knows of any kind of art books or whatever that he might have done that explains any of that stuff, that would be really great to know because it's so beautiful. He's not using the washes, or it's very light washes. This is all black and white ink work, and I think he's using the washes a little bit less. But that's okay because he's got this mirror scene here where the washes really come in handy, where you're seeing who might be the real Sekhmet and who isn't the real Sekhmet. It very harkens back to the second Conan movie, only I kind of think this is done way more better than that Conan movie. I know a lot of people don't like it. Some people actually do love it. I think it's pretty good. I don't think it's fantastic. Not nearly as good as the first one, but it's still really pretty good. So they copulate, and she is trying to make him hers. He wakes up. He's been knocked out, drugged out. Grabs his clothes. She's gone off. The wizard comes by and says she's gone to clean herself. So I don't know what that means. Has she gone to do some kind of magical thing with the sperm that he may have deposited in her? Is that what they're getting at, or is he's saying that he's filthy and she needed to get the stench off her? Anyway, then Sekhmet shows him another mirror, and this is really the crux of the whole mirror metaphor and strategy that the sorcerer has. He's going to show Kull his image, and it really shows the whole history of the universe of Kull and Aquilonia and stuff like that. This is pre-Atlantis, even though I think does anybody know if there's any stories that Robert E. Howard did of Atlantis? Because I believe this is after Atlantis, and I believe Conan is definitely after Atlantis. Is this after Atlantis, or is this an Atlantis? Is there an Atlantis in this? I might have to go check some stuff, do some digging and see. But it would be cool if H.P. Lovecraft did, not Lovecraft, but Robert E. Howard did an Atlantis kind of story where it had characters from there. So, but it goes back and talks about dinosaurs and woolly mammoths and stuff like that, and Neanderthals and everything like that. And he shows Kull his image, and it transforms Kull into like a base animal creature kind of thing. They do that a lot with Wolverine, where he's a man, but he's got these baser instincts and stuff like that. It's very much done, and it's cool though. I mean, it's cool. It's cool to see him transforming from his Kull persona into this Neanderthal Kull, and I'm trying to remember the movie. I haven't seen the movie in a long time. I know that there were a lot of aspects of this in the movie, and I might have to buy it, even though I think it's crap. But we'll see. So the sorcerer covers over the mirror because he doesn't want Kull to know too much about what's going on. And Kull looks away, and as he looks away, the image of the Neanderthal Kull stays there. So there's, like I said, there's a lot going on, and Kull is just really confused and dazed. And the sorcerer is giving him all kinds of wordplay and kind of just I think he's just trying to manipulate him a little bit and get him to maybe see his way. I don't think he wants to kill Kull. I think he wants to manipulate Kull to get Kull to do what he wants. And that's why he's using his daughter. He's using his magics. He's using all of this other manipulation techniques to try to get Kull to do what he wants, because he knows that how dangerous Kull is. So the daughter comes back, and basically that's how it ends. That is how part 2 ends. And I'm pretty sure Kull is going to make her his queen. And but we will check that out next time. So let me know what you guys think. Do you guys like this serialized adventure that we're going on in this Kull? Look how worn this is. It was pretty worn when I first got it, and then I've just read it over and over. I know a lot of you guys have done the same thing. And I've got my handy dandy bookmarks, which I will be putting in my store. I know I said I was going to do it already, but I'm working on this kind of tassel-y thing, trying to figure that out, and hopefully I'll be able to get some of those. And if you guys would like, I mean, let me know if it's something that you guys would be interested in seeing in my store, bookmarks and stickers and stuff like that, or you just like seeing the comics, or even if you care at all. But anyway, we're done with Bizarre Adventures Part 2, called The Barbarian, from 1982, and John Bolton. And I said I was going to talk about the art, and the art, like I said, is beautiful. He uses he doesn't do the black spotting. He does do it, but it's shading. It's not black spotting, and I'm not entirely sure if I know the difference as an artist. But it looks to me like it's a little different. Like black spotting is really deep, and you're using all of these different contrasting light sources and stuff like that. But you're also doing that with just shading and shadows and stuff like that. So, I mean, it's beautiful either way. I love how he's using the ink washes to show kind of the different periods and stuff, and the different ways of Kull is transforming. And like when he's in the mirror, he's a wash. When he's out of the mirror, he's a dark ink with like lots of hatching and lots of feathering, stuff like that. His women are beautiful. I really, really wish I knew what kind of reference he was using, whether he was taking reference from magazines, or if his people, they do kind of all look a little bit alike, which every artist has that. There's no getting around that. It's just a thing. People only look so much. So look at that. The shading and the shadows in the face is just so beautiful. It is weird. This is one of the things that I've come across when I'm doing my own comics, is when I'm doing the light sources. Do you think you should always maintain the light sources from panel to panel and from page to page? Because I kind of, at one point, I think I do, but if it adds a little bit of difference, it adds a little bit of spice if you change up the light source. Like right here, the light source is coming from below. Here, the light source is coming from is coming from above here and from below here. It's much more dramatic to look at it this way, and for him to do it, but to do both of these, two different light sources, and yet it's a different light source. So let me know what you guys think, all you artists out there, what you think about different light sources from panel to panel. I think that's a huge issue and a huge thing to talk about as artists. I'm gonna have to start doing some washes. I'm gonna have to start doing some washes, because these washes are just beautiful. I love his just regular ink work. I love it. It's fantastic. I love his feathering and his texture, because he has such fantastic texture. I love his texture, his nice interweaving lines, and his hatching, his cross hatching. He knows when to use the hatching and when to use the cross hatching, and it makes the drapery so much more realistic. And yet it's not realistic, but it's realistic in a sense. We often say that about like Alex Ross. I would say John Bolton and Alex Ross, they are super similar in their techniques and their styles. And I think we might have to do a Bolton versus Alex Ross thing, which would be incredibly hard to decide on. I don't know who I would vote for. They are so both so fantastically talented. It would be incredibly hard. But so yeah, again, Bizarre Adventures, number 26, Kull the Barbarian. Let me know what you guys think, and if you enjoy this little thing that I'm doing with the going piece by piece in this. And I love to hear your comments. If you're new to the channel, this is the kind of stuff I look at. I look at indie comics from the 70s, 80s, 90s, black and white, superhero. I kind of go over everything. But it has to have a certain facet. I have to find a certain thing that I either like or loathe about something in order to really go over it. If it's something boring that I'm just not into, I'm not going to even look at it. So let me know if you guys have any things that you'd like me to review. I love your comments. So even if you haven't subscribed or whatever, please subscribe. But if you don't, leave a comment anyway. I love to talk about comic books with you guys. It's a fantastic thing to do, and I really enjoy it. And I love hearing from your comments and stuff. So it's Friday. Have a great weekend. I'm going to be doing a stream with Joe either Saturday or Sunday. We'll see, and we'll see what we're talking about. But thanks for watching, and have a great weekend. And as always, keep on creating.